And the lineage of that, I say, in my mind, is even more impactful than the effect of the Middle Passage itself. 18s. I have been sneaking in dim light under the cloak of prayer, pretending to a God I do not recognize in a tongue I barely know for so many sun cycles, I care not to count them any longer. I need to know what dwells in this body. What secrets are so powerful in this body besides just this body that they would compel the inhumane to slice out a tongue to contain. I need to know more than I was born into this. So, sneaking in dim light under a cloak of prayer, I learned Webster. Integumentary, of or relating to an enveloping or external layer or covering of an organism, skin, body, wrapped in ebony and mahogany, bred and labeled buck, beaten, bloodied, and abused by breeders. My mama taught me how to survive by bowing, but my brain won't bend. The skin on my body is broken and bears scars and bruises that will become tragic ballads for bards to come. And in their tales of rhyme and rhythm, they will forsake reason and only dream to reconcile with the 3/5 compromisers and the breeders. But my epidermis has ceased to function, and so my children, whom I may not know, will brandish these scars before being born. I will pass them pain, and this place will pass them promises not meant for them. I pray their brains won't bend. Boy, is that there a book? Hey, Billy Bob, this one over here trying to read more than a Bible. Well, I say it's time to learn him. Thud, thump, my brain busts, my nervous system ceases to signal 19s. My father tells me my great-grandfather was a slave he never knew. Tells me his father was too. Well, tells me he knew him for the first nickel spell above dirt, but then he left to fight the Freedom War. Tells me we came north so we didn't have to be a slave again anymore. Tells me he was too old and I was too young for a chain gang, so we had to go. Apparently, the heart of the American South was just one big circulatory system. That old heart just to keep pumping hateful blood toward us, toxified by melanin in our integumentary system. Some days I feel like that blood was transfused right out of old Jim's veins and into my daddy's and then right on into me because I'd be so angry I see red. But my pa would say, we all just born that way in my family. Say every Jefferson from as far back as we can trace, which is really just my granddaddy, been ornery for no good reason. Well, according to the white folk and my mama. Say we all, my brother, me, and my pa, come into the world just a screaming and a hollering like we mad to be born. I figured we was all just born hungry. Now here I am, a grown man, trying to understand why my capillaries, valves, veins, and arteries are always boiling and my brain can't seem to stop my face from frowning and twisting and my mouth from misfiring, and that ain't good for my health when Mr. Charlie Man come around my way with his beating stick and side piece, especially after a long day in the factory working twice as long as Whitey, getting paid half as much, and then the boss taking a quarter of that for the Negro be happy you're employed tax. My nervous system can't take much more, and I'm just hoping my sweets is done mopping them floors. But, aw, damn, here come the man. Boy, where you get that meat and bread? You stole it, huh? Look, Mr. Man, I ain't stole nothing. I bought this with my factory. Boy, you getting lippy with me? The drunk pop! My heart stops. Aortic valve invaded by lead. Oxygen no longer reaching head. My brain busts. My nervous system ceases to signal. Still 19s. I watched my mama wrinkle and wither. Hands like brown corduroy pants that had seen too many washes and too many dries. They say black don't crack, but grief and despair does carve. She did the best she could after they took daddy. She made sure I went to school and never missed a day. Illness was no reason to miss church or study, and there was no compromise. Getting sick was just God testing my toughness and giving my lymphocytes something to do in her eyes. I was gonna go to college, and I had to get the highest score, and that whooping stick was gonna make sure. Factory meat and apple pie wouldn't be good enough anymore. My sisters and I cared for her as long as we could once I returned from the war, but eventually her mourning shut down her own immune system. I think she had just given up. Felt she had delayed in getting home to Pops long enough. She waved the white blood cell flag, and after we buried Ma, moved the family to Minnesota. I heard there were good job opportunities for educated Negroes in St. Paul. Caught the bus up there in early fall. Thought a man of my background, an educated veteran, would find employment in good order. But after months of we don't hire coloreds, I finally caught on as a Pullman porter. My ma had warned me about the Jefferson Rage, for she feared I'd end up like my pops. But no one had warned me about being an educated war veteran Negro working as a porter in Minnesota when the temperature drops. Trying to feed a family I was never home to see, every day scraping together thinking, what good is an education for me? A Negro in the land of the free, in the North no less, where America's supposed to show colored folk its best. My old lady following my mother's footsteps, cleaning white folks' houses, taking care of their kids. Shit. This bottle of hooch and this stoop should have something to give. Bottoms up. Yeah. That was a mighty big swig. Oh, say, can you see America, America? Hey, officer, how you doing, Mr. Charlie? You know, who you calling boy? I serve my country. I can sing if Barnett's constricted, windpipe corridor closed, lungs depleted. I can't breathe. I can't. My brain busts. My nervous system ceases to signal. 20s. Woo, there is much to consider when responding to a post on a coworker's Facebook page. My father would tell me, son, you got to learn to keep Shaka in the box. Keep a lock on the Zulu ready to bust out the cage. Your relative consciousness means if you want to stay employed, you've got to control the rage. So, let me light this sage, smudge myself, and before I reply, pray to a God that ain't never really helped. Okay, Jim, before you ask stupid, no, that's not it. Jim, asking the question, when are black people going to stop using slavery as an excuse, shows you are so motherfucking. No, delete. Jim, are you aware that for generations after slavery, black Americans have been beaten, incarcerated, left out of systems of housing, economics, education, occupation? We've been subjugated by law enforcement in our communities where we were herded into by government policies, targeted for chemical warfare, and more. Jim's response, but white America made up for that when we elected Obama. And you people's biggest problem is black on black crime. Maybe your communities would be better if you stopped standing in the middle of freeways marching against police, just trying to do their jobs, and you march against the violence you do against your own people in your own communities. I'm not gonna lose my job today. I'm not gonna lose my job today. I'm not gonna lose my job today. But how do I explain to Jim that our lineage is trauma? That I can't wholeheartedly celebrate diversity and inclusion until my celebration includes truth. Truth that my DNA carries in 1800s overseers blunt force trauma. Truth that my DNA carries in 1900s police officers racial stereotype trauma. Truth that my DNA carries in 1900s educated, depressed, denied, and oppressed police officers chokehold trauma. Truth that my DNA carries in 80s chemical warfare, 90s Clinton crime bill, 2000s children that have nothing to live for trauma. How do I tell Jim that while he may inherit a cabin on a lake and a trust fund, I inherited high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, heart disease, depression, a funeral bill, and generational anger. I'm living the American dream in spite of it all, and it's a nightmare. Me getting to work with Jim was Dr. King's dream, and it's a nightmare. Tonight, I will log off. Tomorrow, I will go to work. I will put on Paul Laurence Dunbar's mask. And I will not make my feeling of illness visible. I will protect my health and well-being. Black is beautiful is all that will reflect on this body. I will bust my brain and I won't shake nor tremble. Nope, my nervous system will cease to signal.